Hey folks, Keough here with a new video for you. You're going to see my Sunday deadlift session on this video, so you're going to see me pull 444, 2 sets of 4 repetitions, followed by 470 for 2 sets of 3 repetitions. And I was supposed to do 3 sets and 3 sets. That's kind of the programming that I laid out for myself, but just finding the overall volume to be pretty difficult to recover from on these deadlifts, so I cut those 6 sets down to 4 sets, and I'm still getting more bar lifts, pulling off the floor with what I'd say is at least a moderately heavy weight, at least 75%, than I'm accustomed to in the past. So I'm still certainly getting an increase in volume from how I trained previously, my previous training cycle. So I'm just going to kind of feel out the volume over the course of the weeks and auto-regulate when necessary, cut sets when necessary, and just try to accumulate good solid reps without really having to grind out tons and tons and tons of repetitions here on these deadlifts. So I had a question recently about what cues I go through when I pull, and to be honest, I don't have a lot of cues that I focus on. My deadlift technique, like my bench press technique, is pretty consistent. I don't see a lot of deviations in my technique from one repetition to another on each of those 2 lifts. Now, that's not to say that my technique is good. It's certainly not to say that my technique is perfect or flawless or anything like that. But it is consistent, even if it is only consistently bad. And so I don't use a lot of cues, but there are a few things that I focus on. The first thing I will do is I'll pull the bar away from me, and I try to tuck my hands as much as possible. And by tucking my hands, I try to almost hook the bar so that when the bar rolls, because I use a over-under grip, when the bar rolls, if it rolls one way or another, it'll still stay sort of set in the palm of my hand and won't roll towards my fingers. And so I almost like overhook the bar. And I guess the analogy that I would give is, when I set the bar in my hands, I try to set it so that my knuckles, if the bar was on the floor, would basically be dragging on the ground. And so that's how I set the bar in my hands, and I focus on that a lot. You see me fidgeting with my hands. When I pull the bar into me, I'm pulling it into about the middle of my foot. And as I do that, I'm going to lower my hips, and I'm going to allow my shins to come forward. And when my shins reach the bar, I know that my hips are in proper position. So I come into position all in one movement, and then my focus at that point is to load the weight, what I call loading the weight on my thoracic spine. So I'm trying to feel the weight loaded on my spinal erectors, my mid to upper back, and I'm trying to accelerate as quickly as possible off the floor. And once the bar comes past my knees, I'm throwing my head up and back, and trying to throw all my weight back so that I can lock it out. So those are my cues. Those are very non-traditional cues, but they're the sorts of cues that seem to work for me in my particular style of deadlifting. They're very different, I think, from what you normally hear as far as accepted cues for deadlifting, but those are the things that I like to use. After I did those pulls, which were admittedly pretty difficult and pretty slow, I did 3 sets of 10, rather 325 off a 3-inch block, and this is just really to hammer home my lockout, go through that lockout a bunch. The pulls feel slower, and I'm not accelerating as much off of the ground because I'm accumulating fatigue, so my rep maxes are going way down when I do these volume sessions. But my hope is that accumulating all this volume is really going to develop my lockout. And so far my lockout feels pretty smooth, and I like how these block pulls are feeling right here. And I'm going to keep continuing to ramp up the weights and keep continuing to get a ton of reps in and just really stress my lockout. Anyway, keep checking in. I will have more videos for you very soon.